Now, welcome back to Code Vision Academy. In this tutorial, we are going to be starting our intro to HTML. So here we are going to learn. This will be our class one. So this will be where we are going to start our HTML journey, our web development journey. So this full course, we are going to be taking HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Tailwind, and React. But we are going to start with HTML. So we want a student to have a full knowledge of what HTML is. So first, what is HTML? So HTML is the acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. So Hypertext Markup Language, as it seems, some people used to convince it to they mistake it for programming language. It's not a programming language, it's a markup language. And what is a markup language? A markup language is a language that we use in creating applications, user interfaces. For instance, let me give you an example of markup languages. We have a series of markup languages and some examples of them we can see. You can see we have something like, apart from the HTML, we have another markup language we can find as XAML. Also, we have XML, and we have also XHTML. So all of these are example of what markup language. So XML is extensive application markup language. Extensive application markup. Sorry, extensive application markup. Application markup language. Now, this extensive application markup language is used to create user interface for mobile application for people working in .NET. Let's say, for instance, Xamarin. So people that are doing mobile development Xamarin, and it's also applicable because with Xamarin they can build cross-platform application, Android, iOS, and Windows. So this XML is what they make use of. So and also so that's what they use, and this XML is used for building an user interface for Android applications, to be precise. Android application. So that's what it is. This is extensive markup language. So the first one is extensive application markup language, and this is extensive hypertext markup language. So it's basically used for people in that are very close with the Java environment. For instance, they are using NetBeans and all of that. So these are that about our markup language. One thing that is synonymous to all of them is that they have ML at the back of them, which is markup language. So all these markup language, they use their structural syntax are in form of tags. So tags. So they use tags. So what is a tag? A tag can be referred to as what? A markup code that is enclosed in angular bracket. The markup code is a combination of the normal less than and greater than. So, for instance, what I'm trying to say, if I have text that says body, let's say body, this is just a text. But the moment I wrap this body inside an angular bracket, it's no longer a text. Now it becomes what? A tag. So all of this markup language is synonymous of all of them. Each one of them, they use what? Tag as their structural what? As a syntactical structure. So they use what? Tags. So that is one thing you must know about all of them. So what is synonymous of them? All of them use what? Tag. So to build their code structure. That is what they do. So now let's go to the next thing we are going to start discussing. We can't just jump into going deep into HTML and not know what HTML is used for. So HTML is an hypertext markup language that we use to build the structure of our web page. So before we look at web page, let's understand something. So let's understand what is a website. So at the end of this course, you are going to become a website developer or a web application developer. You can say you are a front-end developer. Yes, so that's what you're gonna become. And to become a front-end developer, you have to understand how to build a website. Right. So you're gonna look at this. So what is a website? You can say a website is a folder that contains two or more web pages that are interlinked and deployed to the World Wide Web. So that is what a website is. It's a folder that contains 2 or more web pages that are interlinked and deployed to the World Wide Web. So I understand that the World Wide Web is what we can refer to as the web. So if I say the World Wide Web, it's the same thing referred as what as the web. So some people don't know, you are familiar with what we call www. So the acronym of www means World Wide Web. So when you finish writing all your codes, so then you have a website, which means the combination of 2 or more web pages, and that your web folder contains 2 or more web pages and other web document, and you deploy them to World Wide Web. That is when you say you have a website. Some people will even divide the website as the combination of 2 or more web pages. So that's what they will define a website as. So for the web, what do you think is a web? So we can just say it's a bank of information, BOI. So just leave it like that. So why I'm giving us this theoretical definition is for us to have deeper knowledge of what we are going into. I don't want us to be naive at any point for interview purposes. For instance, you tell someone you're a web developer and you ask you what is web, what is a website. So what is the role of a web developer? These are things you need to know. A web developer is a person that develops web applications, so which means you must have full understanding of what you are doing. Now, from the definition we had here about website, it says it contains 2 or more web pages. Now we need to begin to look what is exactly a web page. Now let's define it. You can see a web page is a document. It's a document created with HTML, saved with .html extension, and which can only access using a web. So any document that is saved with .html extension and you can access it, open it using a web browser, believe me, that is a web page. If you notice, you normally, when you want to browse the internet, you want to log into your school portal, your church portal, you always make use of the web browser. But the moment you make use of the web browser, categorically that is a web page. Any application you can access using a web browser is a web page. So now we have to create a web page with HTML. So now we are going to be looking at it now. So before we begin to look at this, something else that we must take note of is called an editor. So what is an editor? So you can say an editor, or a text editor rather, so we call it a text editor. It is an application used to create a web page, used to create, let's put it together, used to create, edit, and create web. So a text editor. So that's what a text editor is, and we have different type of text editor. Some people started with Sublime. We have Edit Plus. You can check it out, but the most efficient one people use is because of it, because it's open source, and again because we can use it across all multiple applications. It's VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So as you get VS Code, so with VS Code we can continue with this course. So I already have VS Code installed on my computer. If you look, I have it here. So this is what VS Code looks like. You'll see something here, Visual Studio Code. You can go there and download it. For you that don't know how to download VS Code, you can just go to your browser and type VS Code download. You can see. So from there, from Google, to take you to where you can download. If you are using Windows, you can just download. You can see for Mac, Linux, and Windows. If you are using a Linux, if you are using a MacBook, basically you can download for Mac. If you are using Windows, you can download for Windows version, and if you are using Linux, which I'm sure most of us don't use, so you can download for Linux. So it's gonna open, then you can go there. So you can look at this link here. Let me drop this link. So you can go there at any time so you can look at the link there. So you can copy from that link at https://visualstudio.com/download. From there you can download. So if you are using Windows, you can come here and download for Windows, and if you're a Linux user, you can either download the Debian, Deb or the LPM, or if you're a Mac user, you can download for Mac. So that is that. So now let's go into create our first web applications. For us to create our first web application, the first thing we need to do is to go to our desktop and create what we call a folder. If you go back to our definition, you can see it is said that a website is what? A website is a folder that contains 2 or more web pages. So the first thing you want to do to start any web application is to create a web folder. So I'm going to go straight to my desktop and create a web folder. I click on the desktop. Once I click, you're gonna see on new, then you see web folder. I'm gonna do that again. So if I click, so it's going to go to what? New, then you see what folder, click on folder. There you have a new folder. You can rename your web folder. Let me just call it web dev. Let me just call it. So normally you don't give space, just call it web dev. So this. So now the next thing to do now, after downloading your text editor, your VS Code, launch your text editor, double click on it, then it opens up for you. I have done a lot of work on my VS Code. So, but for you, for the first time, once you launch your VS Code, you're gonna have something like this. Let's go to the environment. One of the reasons why people like to do this is it's easy to work with. So irrespective of the kind of application you want to work on, maybe a PHP, a C#, a Java, a Python application, VS Code can handle all kinds of application, all kind of programming language rather. So the first thing you want to do with your VS Code is to set it up. Because number one, at every point of time you are writing a code, you will need to save that code. So in order for it to do or to save for you, you have to go to where you have the settings. Look at here, you have the settings. Go to this icon, you see the settings, then click on settings. So once you click on settings, it's going to open the settings tab. Then you can see user and workplace. From here you can come here and set up your VS Code environment. For me, you see this one, we have auto save. This auto save, so just come here and change it to after delay. I already did mine. Normally your own should be at 4. This is your first time of using VS Code. Just select after delay and automatically you can change the font size if you want your text to be more smaller. So you can change that. Let's say it is 14. I think that was the standard. If you want it bigger, maybe you have some eye impairedness, so you can change the font size to 15, and you can choose any font family of your choice. You understand? You can do this setup there, and you can look at the render white space and cursor style. If you don't want it to be lined, you want it to be line thin, block outline, whatever you want it to be, you can set up here. So this is the first thing you want to do. After you are done with that setup, you can just close it, and that's all you need to do. So you can just close this. Now if I want to open my folder and I want to create my first web application, what do I need to do? I just need to go to file. You can see here you have file, click on file, then you open folder, click on open folder. So it will take you to different directory paths. You can select the directory path where you create your folder. For me, I create my folder in my desktop. So select the desktop, then you can now navigate to where you find the folder. I think I call it web dev. This is there, you can see web dev. Select web dev and I click on select folder, and automatically you can see I'm going to have my coming up. I think my system is a little bit slow because I'm using Camtasia. So you can see I have web dev here. So this is my folder, and another good feature about VS Code is it gives you direct file access to your folder. So I can come in here, and from here I can create what? A new document. This is, I can create a new document. Here I can create a new folder. As you can see, I can refresh and I can collapse folders. I can create a new folder, document. So remember, now let's go to our definition of what a web page is. Now we've set up our work environment. I've set up my VS Code. I have created my folder. I have imported my folder into my workstation in my VS Code, as you can see. So I have brought my folder now into my VS Code. I can start writing my code now directly into my work folder. Do you understand? Remember, we say a website is a folder that contains 2 or more web pages. So now I can start creating my my web pages inside my folder. And now let's take a definition of what a web page is one more time before we proceed. We say a web page is a document that is created with HTML, saved with .html extension. Do you know what that means? For us to understand the file extension, for instance, if you see an audio file has the extension of .mp3, a video file has the extension of mp4, while a document, a word document, has the extension of .doc, a PDF document has the extension of .pdf, and Excel has the extension of .exe. You understand? So this extension allows the computer to know what kind of file that file is for easy processing. So if you are going to be creating our first web page, what are you going to do? Create a new file. Click on this create a new file. Then we are going to say, let's write index. It can be any name, but index means the first file in the path. So index.html. So you can see automatically it changed my favicon to a sign of HTML. In your case, you might be seeing less than and greater than. So don't get it twisted, because I have installed some plugins automatically that arrange my folder path for me. So I don't know why my system is taking too long to create this. I think because I'm having a lot of things at the same time. Let me shut down the browser so it can be faster. So now I think we have plenty things that is dragging my system right now. Okay, so while that is loading, I'm sure we have understanding of how to do the proper setup. So before we conclude, what I'm just going to show us is tags. Remember, we talked about tag. So let's go to the definition and look what a tag is again. So I think I talked about it. Okay, I didn't define it, remember. So we say tag. What is a tag? A tag can be referred to as a markup code. A tag can be referred to as what? A markup code enclosed in angular brackets. So a tag is a markup code enclosed in angular bracket. Remember, I said something that is synonymous to all markup language is a tag. They all use a tag for their code structure. So now we're going to be using tag. So for us to talk more about tag, we have 2 types of tag. We have open tag and we have this other tag referred to as our close tag. So you can see the difference between the open tag is that it does not have this / in between them, while the close tag has a / in between them. So anytime you open a tag, you close that tag, but there are some tags that close automatically by themselves. For instance, like I think we have some tags that do that automatically. So we are going to look at some of them. But before we close, call it a day. In this case, you can see already we have the index.html. If I showed you, try to take you to the file part already, we are going to see. Let's look at what this looks like. I click on this and say reveal in file explorer. Reveal in file explorer. You can see when you come here, we are going to notice that it's going to take us to that folder that we created. That is our web dev folder, and we're going to see that this looks like a browser. You can see the file we created, the index, now is going to come out in form of the browser. You can see you are seeing Chrome sign. So anytime you see this is a web page. So it means this document can only be viewed using a web browser. But if I double click on it, you can notice what is going to happen. It's going to take me back to my browser. So it means I can only see, you can see it's only take me to my browser. That is my index.html. So that is why we say a web page is a document saved with .html extension and which can only be accessed using a web browser. You get now, this is an empty document. So for me, the first thing I need to do here is to put in my HTML structure. This is what we are going to start from in the next class. But first, now I want you to go back, take this video, look at it very well, try to understand what a website is, what a web page is, what a tag is. Those are the things we've discussed. I also go further talking about what markup language is. So don't be confused, don't get it twisted. Markup language is not a programming language. HTML is not a programming language, it is a markup language. And I've given us example of different kind of markup language and what they are used to do. So get your setup right. The first thing you need to do is you create a folder. Once the folder is created, you get your VS Code ready. I've shown you the link on how to download it. Once you download, you install it. After installing it, it's very simple to install. I can walk you through that. It's very simple. So once it is been installed, you open your VS Code and you open your file, your folder you've created. Open it in your VS Code and you can start creating your web pages as we have done here. Seeing there is HTML. Before I go, let me just give us a bonus. So I'm just going to write out our web page structure. Every web page have this structure, no matter how bogus they are. So the first thing to do is press your shift key down and press your 1 on your keyboard. It's going to give you this sign. This is called exclamation point. So let's do it again. Press down your shift and 1. So you're just saying shift plus 1. So what do I do? Let me just write it down so you can see. So you're going to press shift key on your keyboard, shift key plus 1. So if you press the shift key plus 1, it's going to give you this. Do you get it now? So if you press the shift plus 1, it's going to give you that. So you just come to your VS Code, I just press this and press enter. It's going to automatically generate your HTML structure. So I'm going to explain the HTML structure in the next class. We are going to look at understanding our depth knowledge of this HTML structure. So in this case, you are not going to be an entity. You are going to have full detail of everything you are doing. A programmer is a person that can interpret every line of code that is being written. So you must be able to interpret every line of code that you have written. So thank you for having me. So yeah, we'll call it today. We look at the setup and have a deeper understanding of what HTML is, what it's used to do, and why we are using it. So thank you for having me today. See you next class.